sole reason that I do it, I guess, is because it's fun.
You can do anything.
We've got a powerful voice, actually.
You get up, you bomb the system.
It's almost a sign of a growing and a progressive art scene.
It's almost like a coded language, you know?
It's developed into something more than just a tag on a wall or a scribble.
I think it's graffiti is a super positive, has a super positive power. When we're standing on the street painting, we get 90% of the people will be like, that is cool, man. Like, wow, great job, guys. You know, shit, this is rad.
Part of what it was in the beginning for me was to beat the system, you know, and like do so much that they would never be able to clean my name, you know. Most graffiti artists like put their ass on the line for their art, you know.
As the years go by, I need to justify the shit to myself because it is like an illegal activity. But for me, like, it's necessary. People need to see that you can just be yourself and just do whatever the fuck you want, you know. Like, you don't need to be like bound by society's rules so much.
I don't give a shit what other people think because like I'm supporting myself, and I would have never ever thought like when I started this that this is where it would go, and I never expected to make money from it, you know. That's what it became for me, a big adventure, you know, and it was fun.
It's always rad being in the city at night when there's no one around and you just own the place. You get a real sense of like reality check when you're bombing in like Joburg.
It's like a blue-collar art form, you know. It's like for anyone, and it crosses a lot more boundaries, and you have to dedicate yourself much more in different ways, you know. Like as soon as I'm like in a new city, or like if I travel somewhere to another country, like I get the itch, you know. Like I just want to like paint something. Like it becomes like shit, you know. Like we need to cover this ground, or like how cool would it be to like do that spot, or like I've got this really good idea, like let's go do this, you know. And it's like as much as it can be about the art, it's also about the process, you know.
My name is Jo, and I run a company called Past Experiences that does walking tours in the Joburg CBD. We do a whole lot of different tours, but we are very passionate about graffiti and street art.
I've been tracing the history of South African graffiti, and it all started after apartheid. All the graffiti then was all political graffiti. And then also, but mainly South African graffiti was linked to the hip-hop movement.
Skateboarding, graffiti, hip-hop, b-boying, all that stuff all goes very closely together, and where you find one, you'll generally find the other. Johannesburg, a lot of people got their graffiti start in the same place. It was at a club in downtown Joburg, and there was a guy there. It was a hip-hop sort of club, and and hip-hop and graffiti are often very related. And there was the guy who owned the club let people paint the walls. And so a lot of guys, Taps, Rasty, they all sort of say that's where they began. And that was in sort of the early 2000s, the late 90s. So graffiti comes to Johannesburg very late, if you think that it was in New York in the late 1960s.
We're nowhere as near as far as the international scene, but we're picking up pretty quickly. It's the same, I guess, as like getting TV like 20 years later in South Africa, you know.
Have any like international artists come here?
Yeah, guys from all over the world have been here.
You know, it's something that overseas is very big, and it's becoming even bigger in their museums and their galleries.
The graffiti scene in South Africa, especially in Joburg, is on the up, and that's great, you know.
So then a lot of guys who are doing graffiti have grown from doing just tags and stuff. They're building it out to actual like portfolio stuff and doing proper commission works and beautiful pieces of art.
There's a huge industry overseas that supports street art and urban contemporary art, graffiti, writing even.
We do murals here a lot more and stuff. So there's quite a culture here of doing pieces.
The DS graffiti members tend to like take graffiti quite seriously, you know, and they can do everything, you know. They can do big letters, you know, they can paint characters. We do like big productions, you know, like with concepts and sometimes even metaphors, you know.
So now the only real shit is like the old school guys that are just like gonna be painting ridiculously awesome stuff anyway, and then the bombers. Whereas Joburg is a lot of bombing, but it's so vast here that you can just bomb forever, and like doesn't really like, even scratch the surface of like the size of the city.
There's just so many spaces around Joburg. It's such a versatile and strange city, and there's just so much to kind of unpack and dig into.
It's about getting up, you know. Even if you are not bombing, you're like trying to put your art in as many places as you can so that people start to notice it and familiarize yourself with it, you know.
I mean, anywhere that it's going to be visible from the road and stuff, we'll do it, man. People's houses. Obviously not in the suburbs, really, where it's all Lonnie, but like in the ghetto, do a lot of houses. 'Cause people like it there. Like for us to go and like spend our time making their area look cool, for them, those guys don't have fuck all. And for us to come paint their house for free is like quite a treat, you know. Like it really gives everyone like a good day to see us there, and obviously after that, then they got like a cool picture on their house.
Most of the artworks that were painted over this the week, the City of Gold Festival, were painted in underprivileged areas, which means that the artworks like are adding like a value and appreciation to quite neglected areas.
If that wall wasn't painted by us, it would sit for the next 50 years being unpainted as it has been 50 years before.
All of a sudden, overnight, here's an artwork, you know?
I mean, some artists move into the gallery and like into the studio, but I think that's what makes it kind of exciting, because graffiti's like this plant that's like growing on the city, and it's ever changing, you know.
That's the great thing about graffiti is, like I always say, you never get sick of it because there's always something new.
Also, when you drive around, don't have to read billboards and stuff. You can just read like graph and read what people are writing. It's a way more honest view of the world than whatever some fucking decade wants to tell you about selling shampoo or some shit like that.
Yeah, put a banana in your brain. Like, I don't know, maybe just do something that you could look at like more than once, you know, like something that'll make you try it and look again. Making your brain hiccup, you know, like.
And it makes people smile, and it brings art into their like lives and shit, which doesn't really happen a lot.
Joburg has taken it a whole new level and risen as, to me, the best place for graffiti in South Africa.
They're just like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like you've got rights here in this country, so you've got two choices, you know. You can either be submissive or you can take a chance, you know, and yeah. The artist's life.